This book is gonna give Horse Girls a bad name.
We don't already have that.
Also, the inner stallion keeps being like, I need to ride her.
I just need you to know that, like, you will be paying for my therapy. It feels like 2 mouths are on her, and I'm scared of what that means.
It's time for the 13 Nights of Saraween.
Hi besties, it's Sarah. Welcome to today's video. It's a romance video where we're gonna talk about shapeshifter romance. I am joined again by my friend Katie. She is a trooper. She's been with me many times on this channel, reading just unhinged romance, truly. I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
And I want you to guess, based on my outfit, what animal my shifter was.
If you say it's a horse, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, it's called Ride.
Jail. I'll never look at my horse again.
Our main character is a girl named Felicity. She's plus size.
Oh.
And she's British. Now let me tell you, the author herself, she's not British, but she wanted us to think she was. So she tried to fit in as much British slang as possible. And let me just say, it was definitely giving, like American people who are like, I'm an Anglophile. I love British people. Yeah. That was the vibe. So Felicity works as an investigative blogger for the paranormal. And so her boss calls her up and is like, hey girl, you need to go to Ireland because there's a puka haunting. A puka is a horse shifter and they're part of like Irish folklore. And so she has to go to this island in Ireland. I can't remember exactly where it was, but she has to go so she can investigate because basically these developers are trying to build like a resort there and things keep going wrong. And they're like, oh, it's because there's a puka haunting. Then we go and we meet the male main character and his name is Niall and he lives beyond the veil.
He said Niall from One Direction, Irish.
Oh my God, I think he is. His dad comes to him and he's like, hey, you have to go into the human world because the veil between the puka world and the human world is like down right now. And normally it's only down during Samhain. So they're like, that's suspicious, it's weird. We gotta go and check that out. And then also his dad's like, you have to go find a mate, a human mate. Because apparently in the pukas, there's not that many female pukas. There's only a few and he doesn't like any of them. The ones that are in his clan, he's like, ew. So he goes into the human world. Aww. And then he goes into this pub because in the pub, the woman that works there, her family is the one that's like kind of the alliance with the pukas. So he goes into this pub, he's like talking to this woman because he's like, we need to look into this. Also, the other reason they're looking into it is because they know that there's like this supposed like puka haunting and like they just need to know why the veil is down, like what's going on, there's something afoot. And so as he's in the pub, Felicity walks in because she's meeting with the priest that like hired her to come. They're like talking about it, and then this like American photographer is like, oh yeah, like I saw on the beach and I have a photo that like proves I saw the puka. And so she's like, okay, let me see. And she like looks at the photo and it's like the veil is down and like you can like see a castle in the distance, you can see a horse like in the portal. So then Niall and Felicity catch each other's eye from across the room. Like he's looking at her, she's looking at him, and he's like, ooh, she's kind of sexy. And they end up leaving the bar together. I don't know, I think he asks if he can like walk her home or something, and he's so overwhelmingly attracted to her that he does shift into the horse without even like, the stallion can't wait. Also, the inner stallion keeps being like, I need to ride her. His stallion would not settle until he tasted her lips. Niall knew his stallion had reached the breaking point. His shirt began to tighten as his equine spirit expanded his chest, and he felt himself start to shift. His stallion snorted as Niall's legs elongated and his feet became hooves.
No!
His skin became a glossy, short-haired coat, black as night.
Of course it was black! Of course.
And the hair on his head darkened and grew into a long, elegant mane. His stallion would have to use persuasion to get her to mount him. He needed to feel her on his back.
I just need you to know that, like, you will be paying for my therapy.
You know what's funny is we actually have the same therapist.
I'm gonna tell Heather, be like, charge it to Sarah's account.
Also, Felicity has conveniently been riding horses her whole life, so she knows how to ride a horse. So she gets on his back. I cannot begin to describe you how scared I started getting with the way that this ride was described.
No help.
So,
not even wearing protection.
She puts her legs where stirrups would be, but she doesn't, like, obviously she's riding bareback, so she doesn't really know where to hold, and so in his mind, like, they can like
Shut up.
Oh, what's it, telekinesis? What's it called? Telepathy. He like says to her mind, grab my mane. He like kind of likes it when she grabs his mane. He starts cantering and she starts matching his rhythm, and then in her brain he goes, yeah, just like that.
No!
Okay. Then they were trotting down the road, her body bouncing from side to side. As they moved in rhythm, her hips rocked into him, and there was something sensual about the pressure between her thighs. And then she has an orgasm. She has an orgasm while she's riding him. And I was like, I'm gonna call the ASPCA, I'm scared! Also, apparently, if a female rider has an orgasm while riding the puka, then they are true mates.
Fuck
So
off.
in his head, his stallion's like, I think she might be a true mate. Okay, so when they get to where they're going, I don't know, they're like in a random field. He turns back into a human. Obviously, he's naked because all his clothes ripped off like a werewolf. And
Convenient.
I swear to God, I had to rewind the audiobook 3 times to make sure I heard this word.
No.
It was like, so she's trying not to look at him while naked. And she's like, literally, the writing was, she tried to keep her eyes away from his dong.
No.
And then I was like, is this a term that people are using about horse pieces?
No.
I was like, the only person I've ever heard say the word dong is a teenage boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was so confused. That's crazy.
It's not a horse girl word. Can confirm.
Okay, I was just making sure.
No. What the fuck?
Niall, he's coming on heavy because he tells her right away, I want to mate with you.
Oh God.
She actually ends up leaving him because she's like so annoyed and they get in a fight. And then he's like, well, you're not gonna remember this because he can use his magic to like erase her memory.
Mm-hmm.
And she just leaves him like in the field naked. She goes home and she goes to sleep and she ends up dreaming about this and she wakes up and she like thinks it's a dream. And she's like, man, I feel weird today. And she's like, my legs kind of hurt. I don't know what I was doing last night because from like riding the horse. Niall ends up finding Felicity again after she has like more meetings with the priest. She starts getting more of the stuff about the puka haunting. And then he finds her and he's like, can we go for a walk? There is absolutely no substance to this book because that's a really good thing to say. There truly isn't because they like talk while they're walking back and he's like, I really love my family. And she's like, oh man, what a good guy. He loves his family. Like it's like they barely have any conversation. And then
The way that even in a Kindle Unlimited novel, the bar is in hell.
and then she's like, yeah, my parents are dead. And he's like, yeah, my mom's dead. And she's like, oh my God, we have so much in common, dead parents. They do end up kissing. And I'm like, you've barely spoken to each other. But he kisses her. Oh, because they did kiss in the field. I forgot to say that. They kissed in the field. And that's when she pushed him away. And she was like, you only want to mate with me. Anyway, but they kiss again. And then they end up going inside and having sex.
Oh.
She's like, oh, if you don't have a condom, it's fine because I actually can't have children. And I'm like, oh, what about STDs, girl? Apparently those don't exist in the UK.
He's a horse.
But anyway, yeah, she's like, I can't have children. And he's actually elated to hear this because even though he needs a mate,
He doesn't want kids.
no, when a human woman carries a puka baby, it can be very difficult because you have a foal inside you. And the foal, like if it moves wrong, there's hooves and shit. It could like injure. And his mom actually died giving birth to his younger sister. And so he's like, actually, I want to mate with you, but the fact that you can't have kids actually is like,
This is a bonus.
this is good for me because he doesn't really care about having offspring. So then they have sex. The sex scene was fine. It was just like a normal sex scene. It was just very like, I mean, he goes down on her.
In a human form.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, good.
Human form. And then she's like, let's go on a date later. And he's like, okay, I'll take you on a date. And so then they go to dinner. And
She's gone on a date with a magical horse guy.
well, she doesn't know he's a horse right now.
Oh, she still doesn't know.
Yeah, because her memory got
She
erased.
just thinks he's a high.
So when they're in the pub, like eating, this random man shows up and his head is bleeding. And he's like, I'm one of the workers from like the construction site and a puka charged me. And then Felicity, because you know, she's a paranormal investigator, she's like, that's suspicious, that's weird. And she's like, I know.
Suspicious?
She's like, I know when people are lying. So then Niall and Felicity go outside. He is like, girlie, I want to mate with you so bad. I have to reveal to you, I'm puka. I'm puka. It hasn't even been like 24 hours since we last found out she's a puka. This time he doesn't just like transform. He's just like, I gotta let you know I'm puka. I gotta let you know. And she's kind of like, huh?
He's
and then
like that taken by her.
Yeah, he's like, you have to know I'm puka. Because even in his perspective, he's like, I can't lie to her anymore. I need her to know who I am so she can mate with me forever and ever and ever.
Oh my.
So they go back to his place.
Honesty.
Okay. Yeah, they go back to his place and then he like brings out this magical mirror and then his sister appears in the mirror and they start talking to her and he's like, yeah, this is my sister. We're horsies. And Felicity believes him, obviously, because she does this for a living, like supernatural stuff. She's like, okay. But she's a little nervous about this whole mating thing. She actually tells him like, please stop bring up the mating thing, like I want to fuck you and stuff. But
Can
like,
we just say fuck?
yeah, well, no, because he wants to make her like we're like married, like we're married forever and ever and ever. So they decide to focus on the investigation, and then he's like, okay, the fastest way to get to the construction site is if you ride up on my back.
Horse.
So he turns into a horse again.
She needs to get a saddle. Just invest.
She gets on his back, and guess what happens?
Again?
An orgasm. Okay, so then Felicity goes to the pub and talks to the bartender, Caitlin, who is the daughter of the woman who was there before. So the woman who's like aligned, her name is Mara, who is like aligned with the Pukas, like their family, whatever. So she's next in line to be like the alliance with the Pukas. And so they talk to Caitlin and Caitlin's like, oh, I'll help you with your investigation, whatever. So the priest has a brother who used to be a farmer because he's like married to this woman that inherited a farm, and the farms are affected by the new development that's coming in, like the new resort. And so she's like, you should go talk to him. And so she's like, all right, I'll go look. And so Niall goes with her, and they go talk to the guy, but the guy gets really mad that they're like questioning him because he's like, no, I'm divorced, and everyone on the island knows I'm divorced. But Caitlin said that they were married, and they're like, why is Caitlin lying? Especially if she's like the Puka Alliance.
Fucking
Caitlin is suspicious. She's quite suspicious. Niall and Felicity go back to his house again, and they have sex again. In the foyer. In the foyer. He can't even take her all the way to the bedroom. It's so wrong. They just have sex standing up. Which horses do. So that makes sense. So then right after they finish having sex, his dad's voice comes through the magic mirror. No. And his dad saw them having sex.
No!
Yeah. And then she's like really embarrassed because she's like, I don't want to meet your dad when we were
fucking,
you know, having sex. So Felicity leaves and goes back to her hotel, and then Niall talks to his dad, and he's like, your sister Meliosa, she left. Flash forward. She's been kidnapped by none other than Caitlin.
Fucking Caitlin.
Caitlin is really suspicious. Yeah, Caitlin.
She kidnapped a whole ass Puka?
Yeah, so she has like a villain monologue, and she's like, oh, the reason I kidnapped you is because my aunt like raised me to, you know, be a servant to the Puka, and I don't want to be a slave. Like, I don't want to serve you guys. You guys are freaks. You horse freaks. Basically, her big plan is that her and her boyfriend Dylan, who was, so the guy that showed up and was like, my head is bleeding, like a Puka attacked me. That was a lie. That's her boyfriend. They're making up these lies because they want to bring tourism to the island to bring money, and the priest is part of it. Like the priest, they're working, like the three of them are working together. So the priest, Caitlin, and Dylan. They want the resort to get built, but then they also wanted to like stir up all this Puka stuff, and then they wanted Felicity to write about it in her blog, so then tourists would come and then they would all get like rich. But so when Felicity goes back to her hotel room, she gets a mysterious note that's like, hey, come meet me, I have proof of the Pukas. And Niall is gone because she knows that Niall's sister's missing, so he's off looking, and so she's like, well, I'm gonna go do this by myself, obviously. So now her and Meliosa are like all tied up, and she's like, I'm so sorry. And then Meliosa's like, well, at least I got to meet my brother's mate.
They're bonding.
And then they're like, all right, Felicity, we're gonna kill you too, which I'm like, that's not helpful because your original plan was to get Felicity to write the blog post and bring tourism. I don't know.
Also, how would you improve of a Puka if you kill one in like a human form? Like,
I don't know.
It's not so cool.
And even if you kill it in a horse form, it's just gonna look like a horse. Meliosa actually escapes because Felicity helps her escape, and then Dylan starts beating up Felicity, like literally punching. Like he breaks her. Like he's literally taking a rock and like smashing. Like, it's actually quite a violent scene.
Holy shit.
He's like killing her, like she's about to die. And so then Niall shows up and he fights everybody, but as is a horse.
No,
so he's like
kicking people.
Yes.
That's cute.
So he kicks the priest off the cliff, so he dies. And then I don't remember what happens to Dylan. And then Caitlin, like they trap her, and then he has to rush Felicity through the veil. So here's the thing, if you're a human and you go over the veil into the Puka world and you're not mated to someone, you can't come back into the human world. So he's like, I have to bring her there, even if she doesn't want to mate with me. Unfortunately, she'll be stuck over there, but she has to get healed because they have healers over there with like magic. So he brings her over, and then she gets healed, and when she wakes up from being healed, he's like, you want to marry me? And she's like, yeah. So then they get married, they have like a Puka ceremony, and they get married, and there's like this weirdly long sex scene that was like too much. Like he like bathes her with like a sponge bath. That's like a whole thing. Honestly, the end of the book was so not memorable that I'm like, I can't really remember. I think they just get married. Oh, and then Caitlin, because they like trapped her because she was like the bad guy, they brought her over into the Puka world, but she's not mated it to anyone, so now she just has to be a servant, which is kind of ironic because her whole thing was like, I don't want to be a slave. So now she's like legitimately a slave to the Pukas, because before she would have just been a bartender who like talked to the Pukas sometimes.
Honestly, I will say, seems okay.
No, honestly, plot wise, I was like, whatever. No, it was when she was having orgasms riding his back that I was scared. I was scared. Yeah, I just thought my outfit was very horse girl vibe.
I should have guessed
because the cowboy
when you were wearing it, but I was like, maybe she's just in her like cowgirl era, you know?
So if anyone can see the stain right here.
No, you can't.
My eyes are here. Tell us about your book.
Okay. My book was so bad, but it was about a honey badger. I'll be so honest, I had to Google because I thought that was a fake animal. And they're not. Turns out it is a real badger that is very vicious and looks kind of like a giant skunk. There are 3 badger sisters. So one of them is a full honey badger, which is, again, a real animal. One is half wolf, half badger, because why not?
Or mixing shifter species.
Oh, yeah. And then the other is Siberian tiger honey badger.
So they're like half sisters.
Yes, they all have the same dad. So the mom of the main girl, whose name is...
She's the full honey badger.
Charlie. Nope.
Oh.
You would think.
No, what is she?
She's half wolf. Because I feel like in the shifter thing, the wolf seems to be very popular.
You know they say you got 2 wolves inside you? She has 1 wolf and 1 honey badger.
In reading this and finding out things about honey badgers, they might be scarier than a wolf.
No, that's why there was that meme about honey badgers like being scary. I don't know if that's very millennial-us.
The honey badger don't care.
Yeah, that's like a very millennial, like old meme.
Yeah.
If you're Gen Z, you might not know this.
Honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't give a shit. It just takes what it wants.
They get brought to like a wolf pack, and their mother, who was a wolf, has died. So their grandfather takes the 3 girls in. The mother had taken them in because
Where's the dad?
he's deadbeat.
Deadbeat.
No, deadbeat dad. Deadbeat dad. He's just out doing his thing, stealing money.
Honey badger don't care.
Honey badger don't care. Then 16 years later, Charlie is sleeping and someone calls her and just says, hey, get out. She starts running and gets shot and flips over a balcony railing. The next chapter cuts to meeting the male character.
Okay.
His name is Berg Dunn, and he's a bear shifter, a grizzly bear shifter. I learned that this is important to denote which bear.
Okay.
So she lands onto the balcony that Berg is staying in with the guy who he is the bodyguard for. His name is Cooper, and he's apparently some famous pianist, and he's a jackal shifter. And she falls onto the balcony completely naked. More people come into the apartment and try to kill Charlie. They wind up shooting Berg, who basically tries to intervene and be like, well, I'm trying to protect this musician, and now this naked girl.
I couldn't tell you.
Charlie gets out with a gun that Berg gave her. I will say this author really likes to flaunt that she knows a lot about guns. There was a lot of like 45 and Ruger, and she unloaded the mag and flipped the clip, blah, blah, blah. Just a lot of gun verbiage.
I want to see her voter registration card.
And her sister, Max, picks her up, and Max is apparently like the one who's just like, fuck around and find out. So she's pulling up in like a Lamborghini or something, because of course. And she runs over someone to stop them from killing Charlie, and then backs up over them again, and Charlie talks about how she can hear like bones crunching and stuff, and I was like, oh, so Max is crazy.
Mad Max.
Mad Max. So she's crazy.
She's furiosa.
Yeah, she's furry. Not the furry. They go to get their 3rd sister, Stevie, who is apparently now in a mental hospital. She freaks out. They try to tranquilize her, which apparently on a honey badger makes it worse. Or maybe it was just like shifters in general, but definitely honey badgers. It works for like 10 seconds and then they go crazy. She turned around and took the syringe and stabbed a guy in the eye with it. Stevie said that she's not a child, and then her older sister Charlie said, okay, then balls the fuck up. What does that mean?
Balls the fuck
Okay,
up.
then balls the fuck up.
Is that I don't think it's a saying.
Balls the fuck up, bitch. What does it mean? I don't think it's a saying either.
Wait.
There were some weird sayings in this book. I also made a note. Why was Stevie in a Swiss mental hospital?
Yeah, I was also curious about this.
And everyone's speaking German. Miss Girl.
No, people speak German in Switzerland.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So they find out that their honey badger dad has died. The sisters they've been called to go identify their dad's body.
Oh, because he's dead.
He's dead. And he just apparently causes problems everywhere he goes. He like gambles, he gets involved with gangs. Like
He's
losing
Frank from
money.
Shameless.
He is Frank from Shameless. And Charlie is Fiona.
Oh my god, I think this is Shameless fanfiction.
It's Shameless.
It's Shameless meets Charlie's Angels AU crossover fanfiction.
With shifters. They go to identify it's not him. Max and Charlie are pissed that their dad is still alive. Stevie is just like, yay! And they're just like, Stevie, shut up. Berg, the bear, sets the sisters up in a safe house type of thing in his neighborhood.
We need an animal in this shifter video.
A cat shifter! She's so mad. Finally, amidst all of this, they're in the safe house, they're figuring out their dad, they're trying to figure out who wants to kill them. Berg has decided, because he's kind of like your guy,
Okay.
he's just very obsessed with her.
Oh, Berg's like, ugh, I need
He's
her.
like, I know that there's so much trauma going on, but like, I really want to ask her. Oh. I don't know what they were talking about. They were talking about something, and he just goes, would you like to go out? And for some reason, this was the point of the book where I was like, oh.
It's because the dating scene's really hard right now.
The pits of hell. I did put that there's some kind of military operation going on, or some kind of like spy game. Some random family is in a building on one side of the street with guns, and the sisters and their Scottish cousins are in another.
Okay.
Apparently there are just a lot of honey badgers.
Are they
running
Highland
around.
cows? Is that the
No, but I wish. The other people on the roof, we find out, are wolves that are not trying to kill the sisters.
Okay.
They're trying to hire them. They go back to the safe house, and apparently their not dead father is upstairs. He's found the safe house, and he's weaseled his way in to...
He badgered his way
He
in.
badgered his way in. At this point, I finally just wrote, where's Where's the sex?
You're like, enough.
Literally, I was like, if I get one more plot and there's not sex in it, I quit. I was about to text you and be like, Sarah, I'm choosing another book. Charlie is sleeping at Berg's place so she doesn't start shit with her dad, because apparently when she gets angry, it makes her sisters get angrier. She like, I guess
Because they're a bunch of badgers.
the badgers comes out.
Especially these little badgers.
Yeah, I know. She'd be like literally. So she stays at Berg's house across the street.
Okay.
I'm so disappointed because I thought this was gonna happen at 65% of the book.
They don't have sex? They're alone at his house in the middle of a spy mission and there's no sex?
There's no sex. So the next day, after she slept on the couch, they get up and they're like all making breakfast in the kitchen. At one point, she comes in and Charlie goes into the living room where Berg is standing there, and she gets on a coffee table in front of him. And she was like, where's your sister? And then he was just like, oh, she's in the kitchen. And then she grabs him and kisses him. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Max's friend, Dutch, winds up getting Berg and Charlie a private dining room because they have finally decided to go on a date. A waiter comes out and was like, oh, he's also booked you a hotel suite. It has 2 bedrooms, so no pressure, blah, blah, blah. The grizzly bear guy, he was being so sweet the whole book. He was so sweet. The bar's in hell. But he was being so sweet. And he was just like, oh, that's great. That's fine. That's amazing. And then Charlie just goes, well, that was a waste of money. We're only going to need 1 bed.
Oh, we get into
I was like, I held on, and this is a reward.
You were in heat while you're reading this.
Get out of my house. It starts out very sweet. They're looking around. Apparently the Wolverine guy was being silly and left them like a date basket that was like, had condoms and oils and a vibrator in it.
Okay.
And I was like, seems invasive.
You know when your guy best friend buys that all for you?
They start making out. They start doing other things. And then apparently at one point, it feels like 2 mouths are on her, and I'm scared of what that means. So I'm wondering if it was because of it's like the duality of him being a human and a bear. They finally start doing it. He is paying attention to how she's reacting and finds the spot that she's reacting to the most and keeps working there.
Like when you scratch a dog and their legs like...
Yeah,
we did that with her G-spot.
Yes, not a bear paying more attention to hitting the right spot than a human man. Choose the bear in the woods. You choose the bear in the book.
Choose the bear in your bed.
You choose the bear in the bed. Because he's going to find the G-spot.
In The Revenant, he was just trying to find Leonardo DiCaprio's G-spot.
So they find out that there are twins that are their aunts that their father has stolen money from.
Okay.
So now we find out.
He stole money from more people.
Yeah.
Oh.
We find out that it's the twins that are trying to have them killed. Max then gets kidnapped by the twins.
Okay.
That are their aunts.
Okay.
But she escapes because she beats the shit out of them. She grows her badger claws. She cuts one of the twins in the face and gets away. Everybody's chilling. Everybody's happy and quaint. Berg and Charlie, they do be sleeping together. But yeah, that was the book. It kind of ended happily ever after. They definitely set up for a second one.
Okay, besties, if you made it to the end of this video, feel free to use a horse emoji in your comments. Because I don't think there's a badger emoji. Is there a skunk emoji? That's close enough.
There might be a badger emoji.
Leave whatever
a bear emoji.
Whatever animal you want. Leave animals in the comments so I know you made it to the end. But I thank you all so much for watching.
You're all beautiful.
Have a nice day.